Hello, my name is Christine Parr. Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to address something that, as a person who has been in the spiritual community, not the religious community, not the new age, but the spiritual community, um, I see that we are continuing to promote the idea that we do not hold people accountable. We can only hold ourselves accountable according to this school of thought. And so the idea of holding other people accountable is something we're taught in the spiritual community to not do. And my challenge to anyone who believes that is to show me where Jesus said that. Because if we're in Christ consciousness, Christ was doing and saying the exact opposite. Christ was telling the religious leaders of his day that they are leading people to destruction. One of the scriptures that Christ uses, if you stumble one of the little ones, it's better for you to have a millstone tied around your neck and for you to be thrown into the sea than for you to lead someone astray, than for you to cause someone to make a decision that is against God's will and is detrimental to their own benefit. We would not have gotten here without the spiritual community saying we don't hold people accountable. That is a breeding ground for people to come in, ambitious but abusive people to come in and lead people astray. And if you co sign it through your beliefs and your actions by claiming that you're not responsible for a leadership that is abusive and criminal, then you are complicit with those acts as well. And so that is where we are. Anyone who is in the Christ consciousness movement who is continuing to tell people that you don't hold them accountable, they're not. They're, in my opinion, they are not a part of the Christ consciousness movement, because Christ wasn't just about being abundant and being forgiving. Christ was holding those religious leaders in his day accountable. That was also a part of why he overthrew the money changers. That was also a part of why he went to the people. He wasn't telling the people to come to him. Christ was out in the trenches with the people. Christ was very politically active by being present and being conscious of the needs of the people who were around him, and he was going to them and meeting those needs and providing them with not just his perspective and his words, but with his actual ability to bring something substantial and real to them. And so I hope that we are going to start challenging people who encourage us to not participate in our own lives in the most powerful and meaningful way. We have to participate in a democratic society, because if you don't, only the most extreme people will come to power. And that is what we are witnessing and seeing right now. How foolish is it for someone to say, "Oh, I don't hold other people accountable." Really? Do you hold yourself accountable? If you make a commitment or a promise to yourself as a human being, are you holding yourself accountable? If someone comes into your home and provides you with a service, but they do a terrible job or they damage more than what was damaged before they came in, would you hold that person accountable? Or would you just say you are a vibrational match for it and deal with it some other way? And that is a part of the spiritual community that has really been a great distortion. I'm seeing it so clearly now. You would not have the country in shambles the way that it is now without the spiritual community actively encouraging people to not participate in the democracy that is a part of where we live. If you are in the United States and you're not participating in your democracy and making sure that you hold the people in power accountable, you are part of the issue. You're a part of the issue. So I really want to challenge people to tune into your intuitive ability to understand that you as an individual can only be successful and powerful if you hold yourself accountable as a parent or as a spouse. If you don't hold yourself accountable for how you treat your children or how you treat your spouse, you will lose and break and damage those relationships. And you are a member of this society. Jesus said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So that requires that you not look at your neighbor as someone who is vibrationally just going to get what they get, whatever that means. And I'm not saying that we can control what someone else is vibrationally pulling in. I am saying when you live in a democratic society and you are saying that I live in a place where it is critical whether or not I participate in the leadership, or the leaders who will come to be in power are corrupt, incompetent, and incapable of leading in a way that benefits the majority of the people, you are participating in the destruction of your own country. I want us to really be clear about that. You are participating by your lack of participation. And you cannot call that Christ consciousness, because Christ was not getting down like that. Christ wasn't trying to overthrow the Roman government, but Christ was very much about telling the truth about what was going on in his day. And he was very much about meeting the needs of people, but they didn't have a democratic society. They had a dictatorship. And some of you all in the spiritual community have handed over our democratic society to a dictatorship because you cannot participate and you cannot be a threat to the power structure because your leadership has told you that's not what you do. So I hope that this has given anyone in the spiritual community who has believed that we're not to hold people accountable, I hope it's given you something to think about. How can you have anything healthy without someone being held accountable for it? All right. You all have a great one.